Hey folks, ET here, and I'm coming at you with our week ahead. And today we're covering INTC, Target, and JPM, just grabbing a few different sectors. And INTC's kind of been on a tear lately. A lot of people have asked about it. And same with Target and JPM, really, as banks have been beaten down, but saw a little bit of rise going into last week with some of the things. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and start with INTC. I've got all the data pulled up today, so we're ready to go. As we can see, there's some heavy call flow going into 2024 in January, which is pretty interesting to see. Here is our 5-day net flow, which is super strong. Not a lot of puts sitting on there. And then on Friday, we saw some more call buying and a little bit of put selling if we're just looking at its net premiums. Going into its back test, it does have some fuddy-duddy numbers here. It is a buy under, but these aren't necessarily great winning percentages, but sometimes markets just go up, and that's how they work, and so that's how those play out. Checking out its Greek correlations shows Tuesday as a little bit of a chop day, which would not shock me because a little bit of ranging after we've had these big run-ups wouldn't surprise me at all. Going into Wednesday, it's a little bit more bullish. Thursday, it's actually showing some bearish signs, and then Friday, let me get that click for you again. Friday showing more bullish than bearish, obviously, there as well. Going out into its 10-day, it's showing kind of bearish, but that does not necessarily match up what we see here in dealer OI. We show that this coming Friday is a little bullish, the next week a little bullish, and then the week of July, a little 721, a little bit bullish. So that's pretty interesting to see. So maybe we check here, and maybe we check 20 days out to see what it looks like. So we can see it's got some more bullish signs here. If we go 20 days out, let's see what 30 looks like, and still a little bit more bullish here if we're looking, a month out. So going into the next few weeks, a reminder, these things do change. Going into the next few weeks, there's quite a lot of bullish dealer positioning here in the OI. So that is interesting to see. It has been on quite a bit of a tear. I went ahead and pulled up its gamma for the week. And remember, these do change, and since we did have Friday's OPEX and everything, might be a good idea to check the GEX, Tuesday evening to see if anything has changed, anything has rolled off. But right now, its current biggest pull is 35. It's at 36, 37, roughly where it closed the other day. If we go out another week to 630, as we can see, that is showing a higher pull towards the 36. And if we go out one more week to the 77, this looks like a dip week, which we did see that on a week kind of going out there. And then 721, it also kind of showing the same thing as more of a pull down. I really like to long this. I really would. It seems like it might continue to be on a tear. I'd love for a pullback. If all this stays the same, I'd love for a pullback to 33 to long it, 3-4 weeks out. But I will remain patient and see what the price action shows me. Going into its GEX and VEX profile, remember all these things can change come Tuesday, so make sure to recheck them if you're planning your trades. Make sure to recheck them and keep an eye where they are. Looks like price is supported right around where price is right now through its GEX and VEX profile. So that is showing that. Let's go ahead and jump into the levels. All right, so checking out its levels here. Interesting to see. I'd really like this 35.50 or this 35 for a pullback. If I wanted to go long, maybe it just tears up and breaks into this ghost zone into 38, and then above that, there's one all the way to 40 if it doesn't repel from 39. Ultimately, pull back to this 34.50, and then as you can see, that 33 we were talking about right there. Pull back to that would be interesting to see as a repel upwards. I like my longs to come on dips, and I obviously missed the massive dip on this one as it's just been tearing up through and doing well. But I will be patient, and I will set alerts for my price targets about every $1.50 down to see where we're at, and then I'll recheck the data as we go along. Ultimately, I'd love to get long if the market continues to go upwards and pull it up into some 40s about a month out and see how that plays out. That's INTC, so high requested. Everybody seems to really like this ticker right now, but it's been going well, and there's been an awful lot of call volume on it. So that has been interesting to see. Now, Target, different sector, been beat up a little bit. This sector just kind of been, I don't know, ranging a little bit, hanging out, but there is some decent call flow going into July towards the 135 and the 140. This is another one that I am eyeing long. The puts picked up on Friday a little bit, which kind of fits my thesis of I want to buy it on a dip. Its 5-day MNF here is still bullish, but as you can see, it did get a little bit going on. We saw these calls get sold on Friday and some puts get picked up, which would bring it down to a level that would cause me to want to long if the data hangs. It is a long under as well. As you can see, it is pointing down on its dealer Greeks. Not the best win percentage, kind of like INTC. Doesn't give a whole lot of returns like that we might like to see, but sometimes we just look at the levels and the price distributions and what everything is looking at and try to make a good educated guess based on the data. And you can't win if you don't play, I guess would be a good way to put it. Its price distribution for Tuesday, not looking too great. Looks like more of a bearish day. That does fit my thesis a little bit. Here we go. We're leaning into Wednesday, looking substantially more bullish. Thursday, substantially more bullish. And Friday, substantially more bullish. So that's interesting to see. If we go out about 20 days, quite bullish. 20 days, so we're going into around that time. 20 sessions would be that July OI we saw, that July 21 OI that pushes forward. So this is one of the reasons why I'm looking at the longs, despite the fact, even pairing with the fact that it's got some good heavy call OI, and its dealer Greeks are showing some potential upside as well. Next reason I'm looking at it, next few weeks are showing slightly bullish on its dealer OI. So these positions here interest me a little bit. Obviously 616 was a huge bar, and it just kind of hung around all day in a range, so it didn't ramp up. This does not match up though with our longer term price distributions necessarily, but we will see if it can get to that range that we were kind of pointing at as we go along. This week right here, our biggest pull currently for this week is 130, and our highest pull and our highest current, or our next biggest negative pull is at 135 there, with some resistances above at 136, 137, and then there's a decent one here at 140. So interesting to see. Let's go ahead and look a few weeks out. That was 623. 624 shows sort of the same, not a whole lot. Still that 140, 145 range is kind of where I'm targeting for it as we go along. Let's go ahead and take 77. So a little bit more pushed out. And let's see here. Let's just go to the 721 and see. 140, which is my target on price that I'm eyeing, is the biggest pull going into 721. So interesting, that matches up quite a bit with our OI. And it matches up quite a bit with our price distribution going out into 721. Gex and Vex, it's supported right where it's at right now. A little bit lower as it gets up into this range. It's not supported, but remember this does change. So 140, right around here is where I'm eyeing if the market continues to participate and that sector decides to run. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at its levels. So what I'm really eyeing here is hopefully a red Tuesday for it and a pullback to 132, 131, or even 130. There is some pull on that 130 as we saw on that gamma level. So that would be the ideal entry for me, would be that 130. If it has a very, very bad day, 127 would be fantastic, and then I will change my PT a little bit. Instead of eyeing 140s, I'd go into maybe the 132 or 135s into July. That's kind of what I'm eyeing now for a swing. Remember that I'm primarily a swing trader. I do scalp every day. I scalp SPY every day, just like everybody else. I hit it once or twice a day because you have to keep those skills up and not do it. But I like to eye things as swings and let my money work for itself, as opposed to constantly watching a chart all dang day long. So that is target. That's what I'm watching. If everything holds, the market continues to participate. I will eat dips and buy longer term contracts, and that is my plan for target. All right, last one. Let's jump into JPM. Just kind of, it struggled to get above the 140, 141 range, and it finally did. I was shorting every time at 141. Did not do it the other day, mainly because the market is showing some strength, and shorting is kind of madness on a lot of things right now, unless they're for scalp shorts, just daily intraday things. But I had been just shorting it around that 141 every time, and just every time they went 100%, it felt like it just never seemed to go. So it's got some heavy call flow going into 721 as well. It seems to be a lot of things we're seeing. That 721 date pops up on a lot of different OIs and a lot of different things as we go along. All right, so Friday we did see some call selling and some put buying. Here's its 5-day MNF. Let's just check, make sure I clicked the right one. Yep, that's its 5-day MNF. Pretty mixed, which could lead to some more choppiness and consolidation before it breaks out or breaks down again. But this is another one that I'm sort of just kind of eyeing and kind of keeping an eye on. It is actually an inverse. It is a buy over, but as you can see, its dealer positioning here, dealer Greeks buildup is shrinking just a little bit and tailing off as it's had this run. And so it doesn't have the best win percentage necessarily, but it is still one that I'm eyeing. I'm not sure if I'm looking for up or down quite yet. I'm thinking long if banks can actually start to catch a bid. They've been beaten down a bit while tech's been running heavy. And I'm not saying there needs to be a rotation into bearish positions in the market, but I'd not be shocked to see tech range somewhat and some other sectors pick up soon. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. So going into Tuesday, it's actually showing quite bullish, which is interesting to see. Going into Wednesday, more bullish. Thursday, once again more bullish. Friday, more bullish. Let's just go ahead and go out to around that 721. Still looking pretty bullish as we see that OI that's been kind of been getting hammered there. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of eyeing this as a long. We'll look at the levels here in a second and check where the pullbacks might come for entries that I might enjoy for myself, but we'll look there as we go along. Going into this week's expiry, this does not match our price distribution for our dealer OI, showing somewhat of a bearish position. And then going out, as you can see, we have some pretty bullish positions running through into here, and with 721 being our largest, which is no shocker, as we've seen going out to that far has shown a lot of different things that have been pretty interesting to us. It's sitting right now about 143. 140 is my current target for longs. This is this week's expiry, with 145 being its biggest pull. So what I'd really like to see is, even though the price distributions all say up, I'd very much appreciate seeing a nice pullback to the 140. So maybe some 145s into July could be a target. Let's go ahead and take a look a little further out and see 630. All right, so 630 shows a little bit of a dip there, and if we're just taking a look into that week, you know, this would be around here. It's showing a little bit of a bullish position, so it doesn't necessarily match up. But I like to go through and check all of these as I go along to see if there's any interest there. There's that 135, which is really the area that I'm looking to go long. So that would be a place that price could repel. And then right here, as we get a little further along, we see the 148, which would be above the current target that I'm looking at. And then 721 kind of mixed, but still 145 is its biggest negative pull with a 140 repel. So staying over 140, as you can see what I'm kind of eyeing here. Interesting thing here on its Gex and Vex profile that we're looking at. Price is this blue line is coming down, showing that there might be some more support as price continues to go up, which does support a long thesis and something that I'm watching. All right, let's check its levels really quick. Ultimately, I do not want to long in a range at all or short in a range. If I were looking to short, I'd be looking to short around that 145 or perhaps a repel from 146. And looking to long, I don't want to long right here and go in, and I want my contracts cheaper. So I'd love to see Tuesday pullback to 142, 141, and maybe even that bounce off of 140 or repel to go long for a little bit. If the data changes, I'll be watching to short on any run-ups to 145, a repel from 146, etc. This is kind of going to be the range that I think it's gonna struggle with once it breaks over this 146. Pretty crazy to see. Some massive ghost zones going up if it decides to finally catch a bid all the way to 155. Like I said, I'm a swing trader, so I just buy my cons on alerts once I check to see where exactly all the data is still pointing and that day's market sentiment. I love to go long on red days, and I love to go short on green days. So that is kind of what I'm looking at there. But this is another one as the market kind of continues to go upwards, and I'm not saying that it will constantly continue to go up, but right now it is going up with a lot of steam. So I am just looking to see if I can get a nice long on these three going into things, and maybe they'll all start to catch a bid, except for INTC, which has been catching a big bid. All right, that is all for today. Market is closed tomorrow. Everybody have a good day. Take this time to study. Go through things like I do. Find some tickers that you really like, and tag us on Twitter and let us see what you see data-wise. Do your homework and start planning out your trades for the week. Everybody have a good day and go get that Oprah money.